gonna give a couple minutes and give people some time to join us this afternoon, and then we'll get started. Thank you for joining us. Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you all for finding the time to attend today's webinar on X-ray inspection for the food and pharmaceutical industries. My name is Christina Rowland, and I'm the marketing specialist here at Loma Systems in North America. We are a world-leading manufacturer of check and inspection systems for the food and pharmaceutical industries. Before we get started, let me explain how you can talk to us throughout this live webinar. If you have any questions during the presentation, just feel free to write them in the chat box on your screen. And I see some of you already typing in. That's great. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll have a short Q&A session to answer some of your questions. And rest assured, if we don't get to your questions during this event, we will answer them through email afterwards. Also, at the end of the webinar, there will be a short survey we'll put up on the screen, and we would appreciate you spending a moment to answer this survey and help us improve for our future webinars. So before I introduce our presenter today, let's take a quick poll, a quick audience poll on how much we know about X-ray inspection. Okay, wow. The answers have come in and it seems to be pretty spread out. So that's great. I hope today's webinar will help expand your knowledge on X-ray inspection. So today we have Tom Wolcott as our speaker for today. And thank you for being here, Tom. We're happy to have you. Tom is our technical manager here in North America, and he has over 30 years of experience in X-ray. He ensures our systems provide the highest level of performance and customer satisfaction. So without further ado, over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Christina. Welcome everyone to this webinar on X-ray inspection systems, where we will be sharing with you what you need to consider when sourcing a new machine for inspection on your production line, plus the benefits of X-ray and a look at our Loma range of X5 X-ray systems. At Loma, we are always here to provide expert help, and each business will have slightly different needs, and we can assist you with individual guidance. But this generic guide will help you get started in terms of what to consider to help you help ensure you ultimately make the right choice with your investment. Today we'll be discussing the basics of X-ray inspection, including X-ray radiation safety. We also discuss why you would choose X-ray inspection over traditional metal detection, and where in the production process you would use X-ray inspection, including some case study application examples. Finally, we will cover different types of X-ray inspection systems provided by Loma Systems. Let's begin with the basic overview of X-ray inspection, how X-rays are generated, An image is processed, and then we'll talk a little bit about the basics of X-ray radiation safety. X-ray inspection is a fast-growing method of inspecting food and is an enhancement over traditional metal detection technologies. X-ray inspection systems provide enhanced detection performance and also has the ability to inspect food that is not possible on a metal detector. This includes foods packaged in foil and metallized film. X-ray inspection is also impervious to temperature fluctuations in the production process. In addition to enhanced detection performance, X-rays offer the ability to detect glass, bone, and other contaminants, including dense plastics, stones, and rocks. Loma's X-ray systems are easy to use with full-color touchscreen, enhanced detection algorithms offering fast product setup and inspection. The systems are designed for industrial use in high-pressure washdown environments. Loma X-ray systems are designed with enhanced security and safety, meaning radiation dosage limits 5 times lower than the legal limit. This is Loma's X5 Space Saver X-ray, a typical X-ray system. It offers an indicator lamp that is readily visible to all. This indicator is required by federal regulations to display a red light when X-rays are being generated. The X-ray unit will fault and prevent X-rays from being generated if this indicator fails. Another federal requirement is a physical key on the control panel that must be turned into a position by a qualified personnel to allow the generation of X-rays. This key must not be able to be removed when it is in this position. This prevents the key from being misplaced while the X-rays are in operation. The door of the cabinet X-ray machine, which allows access for routine maintenance and sanitation, is also required to have a minimum of 2 safety interlocks for dual redundancy. The generation of X-rays is not possible if both of these safety interlocks are not made. The product to be inspected flows through the inspection aperture on a conveyor belt. This aperture penetration to the X-ray inspection area is shielded by the food-grade radiation safety curtains, as you can see on the lower right-hand side of the slide. Finally, we offer USB ports and for easy access of retrieval of images and reports, and also a user-friendly touchscreen is provided as a means to set up and operate the unit. So now let's look a little bit about how X-rays are generated. An X-ray tube is an envelope of glass containing a filament, target, and an extremely high vacuum. The tube contains 2 principal elements. The filament, also called the cathode, emits electrons by thermonic emission. The target, typically made of tungsten and connected to the ground of the anode, causes high-speed electrons to strike the tungsten target, producing X-ray photons. The power applied to the tube is measured in kV or kilovolts and mA or milliamps. The tube mA or contrast is the rate of X-ray production, and the kV or brightness is the number of X-rays being produced. So typically a tube being supplied with say 500,000 volts at 2 mA sounds like a lot of power, but it's only 100 watts, the same as the light bulbs in your house. As we now will take a look at how X-ray images are generated, you will basically see that it is very similar to how a light bulb and a camera work. Once we generate the X-ray beam, how does the X-ray image get generated? As I summarized earlier, the X-ray tube is a light bulb in our simplified example. The high voltage power supply shown here supplies the kV and mA power to the X-ray tube. This results in the X-ray photons being generated in a conical pattern pointing down through the X-ray tube. We focus that X-ray energy through what is commonly known as a collimator to create a fan-shaped beam of X-ray photons that pass through the product to be inspected. In this example, that happens to be a bagel that is going through the X-ray inspection aperture of the conveyor belt. The X-ray detector sits below the conveyor belt and plays the part of the camera in our example. The X-ray detector takes thousands of scans per second as the product passes over it. It takes all of those line scans, puts them together, and generates a grayscale X-ray image of the product being inspected. The image is then analyzed to measure the amount of X-ray energy the photons have given up as they pass through the product. The less energy the X-ray photon has as it reaches the detector means that something dense has absorbed that energy. If that absorption level exceeds a preset threshold, it is marked as a contaminant and the product is rejected. We assume it's certainly something you wouldn't want to eat. One of the questions I always get is, can X-rays make food radioactive? The answer is a definite no. The electrically generated X-rays created in a cabinet X-ray system is what's called ionizing radiation. Unlike non-ionizing radiation, electrically generated X-rays create X-ray photons, not a beam of neutrons. Therefore, it cannot make food, or for that matter, any material radioactive. Electrically produced X-rays, however, are dangerous and they need to be safely controlled to limit exposure with human beings. This safety is regulated by the federal government under what is called 21 CFR. CFR stands for Code of Federal Regulations, Article 1020.40. This CFR is available online to the public for free. We frequently get the question, is X-ray inspection safe? The answer is yes. Low levels of naturally occurring radioactivity are always present around us. For instance, even eating a banana is exposing yourself to about 0.1 microsievert of radiation. X-ray systems however, be below 5 microsieverts per hour, as guided by 1024.40. And Loma even builds their machines below 1 microsievert per hour. An operator working for 40 hours per week or 48 weeks next to the machine equates to an additional 0.78 millisieverts per year. This is lower compared with the background rate of 2.7 millisieverts per year, so there is no harm that comes from operating an X-ray utilization in your plants. Let's take another look at some radiation safety. One of the key principles in radiation safety is what's called the ALERA principle. It's a relatively simple safety protocol designed to limit exposure to radiation. ALERA stands for as low as reasonably achievable. This principle means that even if it's a small dose, if receiving that dose has no direct benefit, you should try to avoid it. To do this, you can use three basic protective measures in radiation safety: time, distance, and shielding. The reduction of time of exposure can directly reduce radiation exposure and reduce radiation dose. By doubling the distance between your body and the source of radiation, it will cut the radiation exposure by a factor of 4, also known as the inverse square law. And finally, lead equivalent shielding for X-rays is an effective way to reduce radiation exposure. As I have shown in the basic construction of X-ray inspection equipment, food-grade curtains are often used to provide radiation safety. Curtainless systems are available, but require much longer physical barriers to get the aperture opening safely as far away from the X-ray products, the source of the X-ray radiation, to provide protection. We'll now take a look at decisions made when choosing an X-ray inspection system over traditional metal detection. I will also highlight several case studies that cover various applications. In applications where the products use foil trays, metal lids, foil and metallized films, a standard metal detector cannot be used. To use metal detector technology, a ferrous and foil metal detector would be needed, which will only detect ferrous metals. Most of your factories in the food industry will be containing stainless steel equipment. In these situations, X-ray inspection is a perfect fit. Due to its unique properties, aluminum is not very absorptive to X-rays as compared to other metals. In general, aluminum packaging is nearly invisible to X-rays. A metal detector and X-ray system will both inspect for ferrous and non-ferrous and stainless steel metals with the same detection sensitivity. But an X-ray system has the added benefit of being able to detect other non-metallic contaminants. These include, but are not limited to, bone, stones and rocks, glass and ceramic, and some dense plastics. The detection of additional contaminants may be more important in some applications rather than others for various reasons, including previous issues with recalls or contamination that a metal detector failed to detect. Application is more likely to have different contaminants. For example, vegetables grown in the ground are more likely to have glass and stone contaminants, or meat that has been ground, sliced, is more likely to produce bone fragments. I've even seen X-rays that find parts of animals that get caught up in the production in the harvesting products that are harvested from fields. Some applications require or could benefit from product integrity checks. At Loma, X-ray systems will allow products to be scanned to highlight missing products and defects. Examples of this could be detecting a missing product in a multi-pack. For example, you should have 9, but one is missing, or part of one is missing. Weighing your product using X-ray for quality purposes. For example, a yogurt that uses 2 compartments. A check weigher would weigh everything. The X-ray can weigh each department individually. We can also mask out something that should be there. For example, a product giveaway inside of a cereal packet or an oxygen scavenger in a package of beef jerky. The machine also has the ability to ignore these features or eject if they are not present but should be. X-ray detection algorithms are designed to measure the amount of X-ray energy that is being absorbed by the product that it passes through. In general, the more dense the product, the more energy it will be absorbed by the product before it reaches the X-ray detector or the camera in our example. A good rule of thumb for the food industry is that if a contaminant can float, it is undetectable. As you can see, finding nylon in bread, for example, could be possible. Since nylon is more than twice as dense as bread, it will absorb twice the amount of X-ray energy. However, finding nylon in meat is nearly impossible since the two materials will have the same energy absorptive properties. We will now show a video that demonstrates how easy it is to set up and operate a Loma X5C X-ray inspection machine.
We're now going to demonstrate how easy it is to use a Loma X-ray equipment by setting up a product from scratch. We have here a pack of biscuits. There are 3 main compartments with 6 biscuits in each. So we're going to set this product up for best contaminant detection using a fully integrated automatic learn process. And then we are going to set this product up for integrity checks to see if we can detect the missing biscuit. The first thing you have to do when you are operating an X-ray equipment is to make sure you have the appropriate user level and the key to enable you to run X-rays. So we have the key in X-ray on position, so we are now able to run X-rays. The first thing we have to do is log in with the correct user, which in this case is quality level. Supervisor level can set up a product, but usually quality personnel are the ones who set up the product initially and make sure that the contaminant detection is achieved. For this, I'm going to click on the user login icon, and I'm going to select the quality user. I'm going to put in the password. And now to create a new product, we need to access the product library. Select new, create new product. I want to create a new product, yes. We're going to name this product biscuits. 150 grams. We're going to click OK. And now the software is going to take us to a screen where we can select the Learn button. This will put us through a fully automatic learn process where Loma software will set up the product for best contaminant detection. We are going to use 5 packs for the learn process, and we're going to let the Loma software decide the best pack length. I'm going to click OK. Now we just have to follow the prompts on the screen. So it says, please start the conveyor. We're going to start the conveyor from the user interface button on the front panel. Now the system is turning the X-rays on, and it will go through a quick calibration process to make sure it's ready to receive the product samples. It asks us now to pass a sample pack. It's very important during the learn process to use products that are not contaminated. And now we're going to do the 5 product passes, which will help Loma software to set up the contaminant detection algorithms for best contaminant detection. And it says learn completed. And now what the software is going to do is going to go into inspection ready mode. So after we've done just this simple auto learn process, the machine is now ready for inspection. You can start running production. But first, we were going to test the contaminant detection capability of this system following the auto-learn. I have here a stainless steel contaminant, a glass contaminant, and a ceramic contaminant sample. And we're going to pass this through and see what the detection capabilities are. So as you can see, all three type contaminants have been detected, and we are ready to run our batch. Now I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is to set up product integrity checks, specifically for this pack of biscuits, because there are 6 biscuits on each of the 3 main sections. We're going to set up a tool which is called fill level. So for this, we're going to navigate to the product setup menu. So we're going to click on the go to product settings, inspection, product integrity, and we're going to enable the fill level function. Okay? We're going to have to go into this function, and we only have to press the learn button, similar as we've done for the contaminant detection setup. So we're going to press the learn button, and we're going to pass as many samples as possible of the product, good samples. For this exercise, I'm going to pass it 5 times with the right amount of biscuits inside. This will give the software a good chance of setting itself up for an accurate detection. I'm trying to achieve missing one biscuit out of the 6 in one section. So we're going to press the auto set button, press OK, apply, and now the machine is ready for contaminant detection and product integrity checks. To test the product integrity setup, I'm going to take out 1 biscuit out of 6 in one section, and I'm just going to pass the product with missing 1 biscuit. And we've got the expected result. The software has marked this pack as a reject with the red arrow pointing under fill on one of the sections with biscuits. I'm going to put the biscuit back in and pass the product again. And now the product has been marked as a good product and allowed to pass down production. So now the machine is ready to inspect for contaminants and for product integrity. When this machine is running with an integrated reject station, you might have to adjust the reject settings, and for this you need to be in supervisor or quality access level, and you have to go to product settings, rejects, and here you can see you have the distance and duration. Distance represents the distance from the middle of the X-ray system where the X-ray beam is to the reject point, and the duration is for how much you want the reject how long you want the reject to operate. Very useful and commonly used is the PVS function, which is a method of periodically verifying the contaminant detection capability of this system. So what this does, basically you can set it up at certain intervals in time to prompt you for a contaminant detection check. And this gets recorded on a batch report and a PVS report for compliance with your customers' requirements. And I'm going to enable a periodic verification test for metal, glass, and ceramic. I am going to set the false threshold. This is the false threshold is a feature we've introduced to make sure that the quality team and the operators are using the correct test pieces for the purpose of this test, and they do not chuck down a set of keys, for example, to pass this test. So I'm going to set this to a -100 value, which is the limit for detecting our contaminants today. I'm going to click apply, And now, at a certain interval of time, it will prompt you for a PVS test, or we can manually do a performance test. So now it's expecting the metal contaminant to be passed through. So we're going to put that on our product and we're going to pass it through. That was a successful test, and now the software is waiting for the glass test piece to be passed through. Again, this was a successful test, and now it's asking us to put through the ceramic test piece. And that was again a successful test, and now the machine has been verified for contaminant detection. This test was recorded for quality purposes and traceability, and now the machine is ready to inspect the product and carry on.
Thank you, Marius. We will now take a look at some potential areas within the production process to utilize X-ray inspection. I'll also highlight some case studies to show how X-ray technology can help in various critical control points throughout the production line. Before we move on, let's take a quick poll on where you think an X-ray inspection system should be installed in your line. Thank you, Christina.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, most people were thinking after final packaging.
Okay, excellent. Well, let's talk about that. So there are many areas where installing an X-ray inspection system in a facility can be beneficial, and some of those include where the arrival of raw materials, particularly if primary processing occurs at a different facility. This could also include cardboard or other packaging prior to being used in the packaging process to check if the cardboard or packaging itself is contaminated. Also at the introduction of raw ingredients into the production process, especially if those raw ingredients come from another supplier. Also, another place to inspect would be after cutting, trimming, mincing, or grinding to protect other downline processing equipment from damage caused by metal shards. It is important to note that detection of foreign object contamination may be easier earlier in the process, as it may be reduced in size further down the line, making it more difficult to detect. All these areas potentially allow for early detection of contaminated product to minimize waste prior to packaging. Another place to inspect for contamination is inspecting at the line, end of line, also has its benefits. Metal checks at the end of line prior to boxing and shipping. Verifying correct product weight to meet regulations with local legislation. As shown here, we can combine X-ray systems and checkwares for what we call a combination system. It's also important to check when the integrity of the product packaging needs to be checked. This would include for product defects, a missing product, missing features of the product. Like we discussed before, if a product is supposed to have an oxygen scavenger, we're able to detect if that product does not have that and be able to reject. Final contaminant, foreign body detection, and product integrity checks ensure product meets quality standards. Let's now take a look at some case studies for various applications and just see what X-rays are able to do. Our first case study is a bakery application. The product is a 27-gram poly bag of packaged cookies run at room temperature. It's important to know, like I mentioned before, that unlike metal detection technology, X-ray inspection is largely unaffected by product temperature. In this case, the X-ray was set to a relative low power of 75 watts. That would be 30 kV at 2.5 mA. The pack rate was 30 packs per minute at a belt speed of 30 meters per minute. All those settings in our X5 Space Saver and the detection results were for 0.8 millimeter for metal, 1.5 millimeter for ceramic, and 1.5 millimeter for glass. In this case, an air blast reject was selected as the most appropriate reject mechanism for this application. Next, we take a look at a dried foods application, in this case, dried chickpeas. The product is run as loose, free-flowing bulk application. The product in this application is run in what is called an unbounded or mass flow mode, where the X-ray machine is not looking for discrete packages, but constantly scanning a free flow of product. The X-ray was set to a power of 200 watts in this case, which would be 40 kV at 5 MA. The belt speed was set to 30 meters per minute. At these settings on an X5 bulk flow, the detection results were 1 millimeter for metal, 2 millimeters for ceramic, and 2 millimeters for glass. A multi-flap reject was selected as the most appropriate reject mechanism for this application. Our next case study is a confectionery application with a cardboard box of chocolate candy. This is a higher speed application that is inspecting individual boxes of candy with a belt speed of 40 meters per minute and a pack rate of 200 packs per minute. At a power level of 80 watts or 40 kV at 2 MA, the machine was able to detect 1 millimeter steel, 3 millimeter ceramic, and 3 millimeter glass. I think it's important to highlight here that the power levels of the machine is completely adjustable through the user-friendly HMI and can be set for each product as appropriate. In this case, the X5 Space Saver was fitted with an air blast reject system. I'd also like to note that all reject options, including reject confirmation, bin full, and pack check options, are available for this system. Here we take a look at another bulk flow application, this time with a combination of dried fruit and nuts. In this case, the X-ray is run again in unbounded mode with the product free flowing through the aperture. The X-ray power in this case was set to 200 watts or 40 kV at 5 MA. The resulted detection performance of 1 millimeter metal on metals, 2 millimeters on glass, and 3 millimeters on ceramic. The preferred reject mechanism for this application again was determined to be the multi-flap reject. This application is for sliced deli meat in a vacuum-packed rigid seal plastic tray. The X-ray power was set to 80 watts at 35 kV and 2.5 MA, and the resulted in detection performance of 0.8, so 0.8 millimeter on metals, 2 millimeters on glass and ceramic. Since this is a rigid packaged product, an air blast and it's only 200 grams was selected as the reject mechanism. It's also important to note that if you can see a trend is the metal detection covers all ferrous, non-ferrous, and stainless steels. And finally, a pharmaceutical application inspecting blister packs of tablets. In this application, we utilize the X5C to look through foil sealed packs. The X-ray was able to detect 0.6 millimeter steel, as well as the ability to find missing tablets. There is also the possibility of the X-ray to identify broken tablets as well, as because broken tablets can look like two tablets in one blister. This is a good solution for foil and metallized film blister packs, both singularly and in this packages and sachets and pouches. I'd now like to go over all the various types of systems available to cover the vast majority of applications in the industry. I will also highlight some of the exciting new products that are now available to enhance your critical control point inspection needs. Finally, I will take any questions that you may have on the X-ray equipment and technology. This is the X5 Space Saver, designed for inspection excellence and is the flagship of Loma's X-ray inspection. It is designed to fit in the space on your production lines traditionally occupied by metal detector conveyors. It's very safe, delivers product safety to the end of the customer as well as operational safety during use. It provides improved performance. The X5 Space Saver is designed to provide improved performance in the existing machine footprint. It's very durable. The X5 Space Saver is tough, robust, and a reliable system designed specifically for any food production environment. Its X-ray tank is sealed and does not require any oil changes, and the machine is rated at IP66 for high pressure washdown. It's also flexible, capable of a variety of inspection needs with multiple inspection algorithms, as well as versatile detection with adaptive array technology. AAT technology allows a 0.4 millimeter diode setting for very small metal contaminants, with the option of switching to 0.8 millimeter and 1.6 millimeter to find softer contaminants such as bone, ceramic, and glass. It's also user-friendly. The X5 Space Saver offers easy operation and is factory environmentally friendly and delivers low cost of ownership. We will now look at the X5 performance using maximum power levels. So this will give an indication of different performance at different power levels. So in this particular case, we're using a block of cheese, which is 100 millimeters or 4 inches tall. Cheese sometimes can be challenging because it requires higher power to look through a dense product. Detection results have been obtained using auto-learn function in this case, and this shows that a higher MA and overall power results in improved detection on soft contaminants. So on the left-hand side there with the X-ray X5 set to maximum power, or 210 watts, we were able to see 3 millimeter ceramic as compared to only 175 watts, only being able to find 4 millimeter ceramic. This highlights an application using the highest MA available on the machine. So this application is fresh green beans packaged, a height of only 30 millimeters, which is about 1.25 inches. Detection results have been obtained using the auto-learn function on Space Saver. And the higher MA levels give us better detection of 2 millimeter soda wine glass and improved image quality, sharper, less grainy. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the MA is the quality of your image or your contrast. So the higher the MA, the more contrast you're going to get in your imaging, which should improve the performance results in finding softer contaminants. We'll now take a look at some of the key features of the X5C. So the X5C has an easy to use, intuitive full color touchscreen. The X5C includes an icon-driven full color control interface, including multi-level password access and data logged events for traceability. This machine is also designed to comply with CFR 21 Part 11 requirements. The machine is very reliable and has reliable contaminant detection in foil trays. With a rectangular inspection window, the system detects all metal types, bone, glass, or dense plastics, even inspecting products packaged in foil trays or metallized film. Data log events and images for full traceability. Date stamped reject images designed to comply again with CFR 21 Part 11 requirements are internally stored and can be removed via USB or an Ethernet connection. This compact system optimizes valuable space as well. All systems are built with a small footprint in mind, with the smallest systems offering a line length of just 1 meter. This system also does not require any oil changes. All X5C's systems come with sealed oil tanks, simplifying annual maintenance regimes for lower cost of ownership. So Loma offers a range of solutions for packaged products that can be supplied as either standalone systems or with integrated rejects. The X5C system is an ideal replacement for poorly performing metal detectors due to its size and its simple yet powerful system designed for those new to X-ray inspection. The X-ray systems can come in varying conveyor widths and heights to suit most products and can be used for multi-lane applications as well. The systems are capable of inspecting products from up to 25 to 100 kilograms and can operate at speeds of up to 80 meters per minute. So as we look at our different products for packaged products, we can take our X-ray equipment and mate them together with checkwares to offer combo units. We have our X5 Space Saver, which again is our most flexible and powerful X-ray machine. We have our X5C, which is a compact model, which is good for entry into X-ray inspection, as well as for the larger products, an X5 pack, and the largest of all, the XL machine, which is good for X-raying products in totes and large cases. I'd also finally like to highlight some of the new and exciting X-ray product offerings that are now available. So as I've just mentioned, this is introducing the new Loma X5 XL 800. This machine is a version of our previous, what is called the big box machine. It has an 800 millimeter wide interlocks belt. It's also rated at IP66 ingress for high pressure washdown. It has a new integrated X-ray generator design that does not require any oil changes. It has reliability improvements and again is designed, as we'll see, for your larger products. So the X5 XL 800 is designed to run primary processed meat, so packaged in crates or boxes. It's good for input from secondary processing. So if you have product coming in from another processor and you want to verify that product is defect or contaminant free, this would be good before that product goes into any further processing. It's also good for dense products like blocks of cheese from up to 20 to 25 kilos and up to 250 millimeters tall. It's also good for big packaged products, such as shown here, large cans, where they're called catering cans, up to 150 millimeter diameter by 150 millimeter high. And machine is also offers protection, so the primary bulk output or input into the factory. So however, you may need to inspect pump products before final packaging. For free-flowing products such as poultry, meat slurries, jams, and sauces, the X5 pipeline system is available with the product pipes of 2.5 and 3 inches as standard. The X5 bulk flow is suitable for inspecting further upstream to inspect raw materials as they enter the production facility, and typical for loose gravity-fed products such as grains, nuts, and dried fruit. I'd like to finish with a more detailed description of these two products' capabilities as they are new and now available by Loma. So now I'd like to meet the new X5 bulk flow. This is the next generation version of our mass bulk flow X-ray system. I think in some of the application examples, I said that this is really good for loose unpackaged product applications such as nuts, fruit, produce, meat, cereals, grains, etc. It's designed around the X5 pack, but tighter product inspection window, less than 60 millimeters, give excellent detection levels. So this machine is offered in a 300 or a 500 millimeter wide belt. A little over 2 meters in line length, includes a flap reject device as shown here. So the good product passes as it flows through the system, passes out the front of the reject, and there's a flap inside, multiple flaps up to 4 lanes to reject bad product out the backside of the reject. It has an integrated X-ray generator set, the same sealed tank, but does not require any oil changes. Flat and trough belt options are available to take the product through the inspection aperture. Again, this machine is designed for IP66 and is washdown capable. And as I mentioned before, the single flap, dual flap, multi-flap, and also carriage retract band automatic reject options are available. Carriage retract band is when the conveyor pulls back, creating a hole in the production line to allow the contaminated product to be rejected. Finally, our X5 pipeline. So this is the next generation version of a pipeline X-ray system. This pipeline system is good for pump products such as meat sauces, slurries, soups, things of that nature. It's designed around the chassis of the X5C compact cabinet, so it's very simple to operate. As standard, this machine comes with 2.5 or 3 inch pipe diameter options, 400 millimeter pipe fitting without bends or rejects to fit in the same line space as an IQ3 pipeline or an IQ4 pipeline. So this machine is designed to fit in the same space as a metal detector pipeline unit. This machine is designed for high pressure washdown and is rated at IP69K for, again, high temperature, high pressure washdown in harsh operating environments. This machine comes as standard with what's called signal only reject, where we offer a set of dry contact, normally open, normally closed contacts for you to alert any of your systems downstream that there is a reject. But we also offer two styles of reject valves. One is a rotary reject valve, which would rotate and the pumped product would go into a reject tub. And another one would be a linear piston style reject that would open up a gate valve to reject the product.
Well, thank you, Tom, for that very insightful presentation on X-ray inspection. And thanks to our audience for listening. I'd like to open the forum now for some questions. And as you were speaking, Tom, we actually did have some questions come through. So let's get started, shall we?
Yeah, great.
Mark has asked, is there a difference in the safety systems between a cabinet and a pipeline system?
No, they're not. 21 CFR 1020.40 recognizes both machines as cabinet X-ray systems.
Okay. Frank is wondering, does this unit require staff to wear radiation monitoring devices? It's a good safety question.
It is a good safety question. It is a great question. In general, no, but it's based upon the risk analysis of your particular installation. Um, if, again, we talked about Alera and distance, time, and shielding, and also didn't get into too much, but proper radiation safety would require you to do regular radiation safety checks with a radiation meter to make sure that the levels were below the legal requirement. Again, Loma systems are designed to be 5 times lower than the federal requirement for dosage limits. So in general, dosimeters are not required.
Okay. Violet is wondering, would the systems detect nitrile gloves?
No, not nitrile. Nitrile is a very non-dense rubber, and the glove material is so thin that the X-rays virtually pass right through it. That it doesn't absorb enough energy to be detectable.
Okay. I do apologize if I butcher your name, but Saeed is wondering, does salt affect the sensitivity of the X-ray?
That's a very, very good question. Actually, salt does affect the image quality of the X-ray. Not to get too deep into the physics of it, but crystals of salt will actually cause the X-ray photons to deflect. So what that in essence causes is the photon changing directions as it passes through salt crystals, which basically takes it longer to get to the detector, which means it has lost more energy. So yes, salt can, especially in crystal form, cause not necessarily issues with sensitivity, but can cause some dark spots in your image, in your grayscale X-ray image. So it is something to take into consideration when specking out X-rays.
Okay. Mark has also asked, can our pipeline detect chicken bones larger than 4 millimeters?
In general, yes, we can detect chicken bone. The chicken bone is detectable above 4 millimeters. It's when we get into the more of the hard tissue that's not calcified bone like cartilage that becomes undetectable. But bone, yes.
Okay. Philip has asked a question. We might need. Oh, okay. So he's responded. So he was wondering if the system is good for liquid-filled pouches, meaning if metal is floating in a packet, can it be detected?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we do that. We do that quite often, actually, with packets of sauces, packets of soup, things of that nature.
Okay. Russell has wondering with ice cream products such as a sandwich product, what will the density differentiation do? Is it possible to identify metal in a popsicle type product with a wooden stick? And he's referring to the difference between sandwich wafers and the aforementioned, I guess,
Yeah.
wafers. Yeah.
Yes. So, without knowing the physical properties of the sandwich, I would make the assumption that talking about the difference between like the cake and the ice cream, the density of that is going to be so much lower than metals that we'd be looking for, probably in the area of 9 to 10 times less dense. So we could easily identify metals in glass and some ceramics in that applications. And as far as wood sticks and popsicles, surprisingly, wood is nearly invisible on X-ray. So we wouldn't even see the wood stick. Actually, potentially, you could find popsicles that didn't have the wood stick because there would actually be more of the popsicle material. The stick would look like a little bit like a hole in the popsicle.
Mhm. Okay, and Russell is also wondering, and with regards to popsicles, how many individually wrapped bars could you expect to do?
I mean, at a time that the machine can run, well, depending on the machine, a conveyor system, the conveyor belt can be 300 to 500 inches wide on the X5C and the Space Saver. The pack machine can go up to 600 millimeters wide. Um, Now, I've mentioned before that when we generate the X-ray beam, it is in a trapezoid fan shape. So the wider the product is on the belt, the lower it'll be able to inspect. So the tallest inspection is right in the center of the aperture. As you get out near the ends, the window gets shorter. That's why the entrances, the aperture openings on our inspection systems are shaped like a trapezoid, because that's the same geometry as the beam. So to answer your question, I guess it depends on how many popsicles across the belt you can fit, and to add up to 80 meters per minute on belt speed. And typically we only need maybe 15, 20 millimeters in between for measuring discrete packs. If that
Okay.
answers your question.
Andrew is wondering, how often does the X-ray tube need to be replaced?
So the X-ray tank on the tube is in a sealed tank, and they last a very, very long time. It's a very low failure rate. They as long as the temperature is maintained. So the biggest enemies of X-ray tubes are heat, because they do generate a lot of heat. And as long as the heat is maintained, and we have systems built in place to pull the heat out of the cabinet and make sure that we monitor the X-ray temperature internally to, and shut down the machine if there are any overheating issues. And then also starting and stopping the X-rays like to be run constantly. So the starting and stopping the X-ray tube over time will degrade it a little bit. But to answer your question, they're designed to last a very long time.
Okay. And what are the legalities for disposing and or replacing of the X-ray tubes?
So again, we are ionizing radiation. So an X-ray tube is pretty much a glorified light bulb. So it doesn't have any radioactive materials in it. It doesn't have any hazardous materials in it. It's glass, tungsten, and copper and aluminum. So just normal disposal techniques are required.
Okay, so it's a non-issue then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great.
If there's ever a case, we would take it back and we could dispose of it ourselves.
Okay. I see somebody else is typing here. So Russell is asking the life, if operating 255 days a year, what would the life expectancy be? I'm believing he's asking about the life of the X-ray tank or tube.
I can get my calculator here. Is that 24 hours a day or 2 8-hour shifts?
$10-hour days.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to. 255 days a year for 10-hour days, so that's 25. I mean, rough estimation would be 4 years minimum.
Okay.
But that's very rough estimate. That would be minimum. I would say you're in your more 5+ years range, and that's with no maintenance, because it's a sealed tank. On the older systems, if you do, as long as you keep the oil change on a yearly basis, you get the same out of it.
Okay, great. Winter is wondering, how would calibration be completed and how often would you suggest?
So it's very similar to how you would calibrate your metal detection. We would come in and probably, typically it's up to you in your HACCP program, but typically it's on a yearly basis, and we come in and validate performance. So if you're looking for 1 millimeter metal, 2 glass, 2 ceramic, or 2 glass, 3 ceramic. We would come in, validate that the imaging quality is still good, run your test samples, and then sticker the machine is calibrated.
Okay. Russell, to answer your question about a transcript, we'll be emailing out a link where you can see the recording. That will also include all of this Q&A. Okay. Syed is wondering, do pharmaceutical companies accept X-ray solutions?
To answer your question, we do pharmaceutical applications, a lot of tablet and blister pack applications. So I know certain pharmaceutical companies do. Like I say, our ionizing radiation is not a radioactive source, so we don't create any neutrons that can impart any radioactivity to anything. So we can't alter anything at the cellular or molecular level. I get to ask the same questions a lot about organic. X-rays are perfectly fine. X-ray inspection with this technology is perfectly fine for organic and pharmaceuticals.
Okay. Russell is asking, do we need to have GRAS labeling on our products once we perform X-ray routinely?
I would have to look into that. I've never heard the term GRAS before, so I would have to look into that.
Yeah, he says this is FDA approved then and acceptable where there is no scrutiny.
21 CFR is the FDA, so 21 is FDA. CFR 1020.40 covers all cabinet X-ray systems, so we are required to adhere to everything that's in 21 CFR 1020.40.
Okay. Russell just spelled out GRAS is generally recognized as safe.
Oh,
So do they need to have GRAS labeling on their products?
I haven't memorized 21 CFR 1020.40, but I don't recall that seeing in there. There are requirements for labeling, such as the red lamp indicator that I talked about that says that the indicator must be red when generating X-rays, and then also there has to be built-in systems to check if that lamp fails, that then X-rays cannot be generated. The key switch is another requirement of the CFR, and they have specific wording about labeling the lighting about X-rays are on, but they don't. I've never seen the word generally recognized as safe. No.
Okay. Well, we have just enough time for one more question. If anybody has another question. Russell said GRAS, it refers to the impact on the product. So I guess, is there any impact on the product as it's running through X-ray?
No. No, again, the amount of X-ray absorption that passes through the product is because the product is moving rapidly through the X-ray beam is so slow, it does not affect the product whatsoever. But another critical point of 21 CFR 1020.40 for that specific product safety and human safety, any safety, is that the X-rays cannot be generated if the conveyor is not running through the cabinet X-ray system, and likewise the conveyor can't run until X-rays are being generated. So that ensures that product will not have any chance, or anything will have any chance of being stationary in the X-ray beam.
Okay, and one last question. Is it possible to get a certificate from Loma for QA purposes on their facility?
I would have to look into that, but I don't know why not.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for all your sitting in on our webinar today. And Tom, thank you for answering all those wonderful questions. We have run out of time, but if you have any more questions or want to elaborate a little bit more on some of your other questions, feel free to reach out to us. Either via our website, our 800 number, or inquiries@loma.com. And lastly, I would like to ask you if you can take a bit of time to answer the short webinar feedback survey. that's on your screen right now, and that will help us further develop any future webinars that we might have. And I'd like to thank you all again for joining us today. And on behalf of Loma Systems, I wish you all a great day.